Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 180, and today we're going to be doing battle in the Last Chance Gauntlet. And so we've been trying to finagle a list of decks that we really like for best of three to where we just don't have to ban Nami Twisted Fate. And I really liked the kind of space that we were in uh, right before the 316 patch to where we were able to play decks like Poppy Taric and play Scouts and then play usually just like one other deck that's kind of like 50-50ish and not that terrible. And I like the idea of kind of having a plan to let Nami Twisted Fate or Lee Sin Nami stay up because I think people tend to just play it terribly, and I think it's something that we're going to see to a large extent. Like a lot of the pro players are really behind it. A lot of the content creators really advertise it a lot, and I think that people tend to again just play it quite poorly. And then with the release of the 316 patch, the kind of big things to come out of it were going to be the big rise in dominance of Swain, and then the kind of rise of the Leona Aurelian Soul decks, both of which get smoked quite hard by the Nami Twisted Fate deck. And so I was looking for us to be in this space to where we could just look to target it. I think it's probably actually just a really great place to play it with the intent of just banning it if you have that opportunity. But it's not a deck I feel like we can we can just go with because I've played literally like 5 games with the thing, and so I'm not going to be in that camp that just picks it up because it has a good matchup table and then just gets murdered by it. And so that comment is what makes me feel pretty decent about what we're playing with today. It's a pretty bad spot if you're just like picking up a deck and trying to run with it, or something that you don't have a ton of experience with, especially if you're looking to play a longer event like seasonals against a large range of players. And so I'm pretty comfortable with all the decks that we're going to be bringing today. It's kind of fallen apart with that game plan, but I think it's still going to be fine. We're only playing one match. I'm sure nothing could go wrong. But the way I kind of have this in my head is that we're going to ban Leona Aurelian Soul if it turns up. We're going to leave the Nami decks up if they show up, and then if they are not playing Leona, we'll ban their Swain deck. And so that's the kind of idea that we're going to bring. We should probably be bringing Swain at the end of the day, but I haven't found any of the lists that I particularly like. And then I still I'm a hard believer in those Leona decks just being terrible. It's to have an aside before we look at the decks themselves. I call it the Tarmogoyf problem. I was a long time competitive Magic player. I could never be convinced that Tarmogoyf was a good card. It was like kind of in the back of my head I would concede. I understand that Tarmogoyf is a good card. Getting a 5/6 for 2 mana is a pretty good deal, but it just doesn't do anything, right? It's just very efficient. It has a lot of stats, but it doesn't actually do anything. And I just never felt like those actual do nothing cards were very good. And that's the exact same spot you're in with the Leona decks. Is they don't actually do anything. They just put a bunch of stats on the board, and then they go, "Are my stats good enough? Do these stats have too many too many points for you to handle, and you can't beat it? Then cool, I did my job." And so there's not like a lot to it. I don't think. I feel like it's just putting a bunch of stats on the board and hoping for the best. Maybe I'm big braining this one too much, but I really don't think that the Leona decks are particularly good. But that doesn't mean people won't play them. People played Tarmogoyf for ages, and so any rate, the lineup that we're going to be bringing in today. Quite similar to what we've been showcasing over the past few days. We're going to play Sejuani Gwen, Akshan Pantheon, and Poppy Taric. And so if you've been kind of following along in the channel the past few days, we've mentioned all of these. Poppy Taric should be the one that looks familiar to you. I couldn't quite decide if we wanted to say play Poppy Taric or Yuumi Pantheon, or if we want to make the switch over to playing Fiora in either of these roles. At the end of the day, I felt like the decks that Fiora should be good against all tend to run cards like Glimpse from Beyond, and so it just doesn't feel like spectacular against, say, like the Nora decks, to where you're like, oh shit, yeah, they're going to be generating a bunch of these cheap units. I can just take them all down with Fiora. Their only interactivity that can kill her is going to be like a mini morph, and so this should sound good, but at the end of the day, I wasn't particularly happy with the Fioras. And so we did just go back to Poppy. I do like Poppy in all these matchups. She's quite strong. The card that really makes me excited about all of these matchups is the Darkened Lodestone. This is something that's quite strong against all of the Swain decks, having these gigantic spell-shielded units. It's something that's good early and good late. Something I've been quite happy with. Otherwise, in terms of the Poppy Taric deck, we're playing the big collection of 2-drops. I don't like having no early plays in this deck to where it's like, oh boy, it's turn 3 and I haven't played anything, and I'm lining up this Larent Protege on an empty board. Like, you just never win those games. And so I do like the inclusions of Tyaris, but I'm not going the entire way to where we're playing Crystal Ibex or where we're playing a Faded unit. And so 5 rallies would be the other kind of big thing in here. And that's it. That's Poppy Taric. The other deck, Akshan Pantheon. This is the Pantheon deck I feel comfortable with. I feel really comfortable playing Akshan. We probably spent like 2 weeks trying to make the Dark and Bloodletters decks work. And I feel really good about carrying on these Akshan decks. And this is the kind of Pantheon deck I can get behind. And so this is kind of the wild card in our lineup, if you will. This is a little bit of the off-meta deck that I typically don't advocate bringing, but I think it's kind of strong enough in this case. And I like what I call the punch, right? I like these decks that are able to just break through our opponent's wide board of do-nothing units. And then here, again, I really like the equipment. The Darkened Bloodletters and the Darkened Lodestone, both of these are fantastic in that they are good early and good late. And so if we're getting into kind of a grind fest against the control decks, I really like having the access to the giant units that come out of the equipment. And so, Akshan Pantheon is deck number 2. Deck number 3 is Sejuani Gwen. The Harrowing is the kind of thing as to where, if you're really looking to pick on Swain, the Harrowing is the card to do it. They don't have any way to counterspell it. They tend to just have a bunch of bad units on the board. Cat wanting to hang out. Pardon the video, we got a cat. But you're able to get in like a bit of chip damage in the early game, and then when your removal suite is a bunch of stuff like Disintegrate and Scorched Earth and Nox and Guillotine, just a bunch of cards that don't matter when you just drop this huge board with the Harrowing. It's quite powerful in winning those matchups, and then it still has a lot of game against the go wide board control decks like the Namis and the Easy Cannons and the like that just put a bunch of dudes on board when we're able to come in and hit them with the big overwhelm. So those decks get a little scarier because they play Deny, but the Swain decks don't. And so I'm kind of curious at the end of the day, like, if we want to just move towards a full pick on Swain lineup and play triple Harrowing. We've done it before, but it gets to be a little scary when you're in a field that has a lot of denies in it like we're seeing here. But I'm pretty happy with the Gwen Sejuani. This is very similar to the Darius Nar decks of old, to where you have this really powerful, overwhelming early game with the Ruthless Raiders and the Tusk Speakers, and then you have the big punch to close out the late game. Typically with Sejuani Gwen, you'll see people playing some combination of Atrocity, Battle Fury, and the Harrowing in the top end. The Harrowing has lost a lot of favor these days, and I think that's completely a mistake. With so much Swain running around, you really need the Harrowing to be in your wheelhouse, as it's just a fantastic closer against that deck. And so that's the idea. Let's hope that the intro is longer than the event, and that we're able to that we're able to take this down in 2 games. We have the 4 wins there, so we should be pretty well set in terms of being straight into the finals. But before that comes together, we do have to go and pay the pay-to-win price. And this was an important piece of strategy I don't think that a lot of people have really partaken in, and I think that Riot needs a little bit of help to understand. I was looking today to go and perhaps upgrade the skins on some of these, and it's like, well, there's only Star Guardian Gwen, that's okay, but I don't know if I'm in for the 1290 just for the last chance gauntlet, so maybe we'll let that go. So you come over here to Pantheon, and you're like, oh man, these cards are all scary. Like, I'm already equipped up with the Akshan, right? Akshan Pulse Fire looks pretty good. Corrupted Pantheon, this is fucking scary. I don't want to look at this all day. So you move on, and then you go to the Infernal Pantheon, and you're like, oh, that's kind of scary too. I don't want this scary stuff. I try to be a happy type person over here, so I'm not going to use that one either. Leave my money at home. Nothing for you, Riot. Let's check out the last deck though. But man, you got the Poppies out here. She's equipped with the Battle Academia. You got, look at this, Pool Party Taric, completely purchased Corrupted Taric, fucking scary. And so not switching on any of those. It sounds like we won't buy any skins today. And so you got to go back to the pool party, right? You got to give me something happier, something that goes, oh boy, that's not going to scare me today. But to ensure the pay-to-win price is paid, we're going to come in and premium up the Darkened Lodestone. And so if we need a premium Harazi, we got it. He's sported across 2 of our decks today. He's got to be premium in both of them. Now I feel comfortable, confident, and ready. Let's go ahead and jump into this Gauntlet thing. The Harrowing deck, the Pool Party deck, and the No Pool Party deck. All right. Final battle. Jump right to it. Let's see if we find an excellent opponent. Got this cat clawing at me too. You all know how it goes. He's not interested in hanging out. He's just interested in digging his claws into me. Come on, bud. Here you go. Nope. This is like those days of old of playing Expedition. You got to wait 30 seconds in the queue. All right, so back to the action here. Let's see what turns up. We've got Akshan Lee Sin, which is reasonable. It is one of the decks that has Deny in it, so we have to give it a bit of pause, but I think I'm fairly okay with battling against it with everything that we have. The Swain deck is what we're ultimately just going to ban, but then the last one down here, the Heimerdinger Jace, is something that we would typically give a little bit more thought, because we do tend to play lineups that look like Poppy Taric Scouts and then another Demacia-based rally deck, which Heimerdinger Jace is quite good against. But it's a deck that should struggle against Sejuani Gwen, which I don't think anyone is going to ban Sejuani Gwen. And then it's also a deck to where our Lodestones can have a bit of strength in stopping their removal package, and it should kind of come down to if they're able to pop off those really quick draws to where they get like the super fast turrets with the 6-cost spell, and not so much be about their controlled deckiness. So it makes me feel okay about going into Heimerdinger Jace. We're just gonna ban out the Swain, and then see we get to do battle with the Gwen deck, which not surprised whatsoever. But it makes me interesting when you see lists like this as to where, like, what are you going to do with Twisted Fate? Is one of the kind of concepts I was curious how people would handle. In that, if you want to play, say, like Nami Twisted Fate, then you can't play Twisted Fate in another deck, right? And then if you're wanting to play Twisted Fate Swain, that kind of has to push you towards Lisa and Nami, if you're looking to play Nami, which looks like it's probably the more optimal list these days anyways, but it's definitely a consideration that your opponent has to come in and make. All right, so do we want to come in and start trying to make these early trades, or do we just want to go ahead and get our action online? I'm fine to take the 2 damage here and just get our action going. It's just not a really necessary trade here in the early game. And I want to get both the targets for Pantheon and the Warlord's Horde going. The Hookmaster. Did you find that overwhelm? Of course they did, of course. If you're not familiar with the Akshan Lee Sin version of this, the only Shurima stuff they tend to play is going to be the Absolver. And so, well, Akshan and the Absolver, I should say. That's the big reason that they're looking to... Oh my god, fucking cat just got hooked on my headset again. You are the dumbest animal in the whole world. Okay. But that's their kind of big angle. But if you're not familiar, it's the Overwhelm coming onto Lee Sin, which is the scary thing to be encountering, and they just pulled it off quite handily. All right, so this is going to be the kind of make or break it turn. If we're able to come in and protect our action, then we have a pretty good shot here in our ability to now load up the Merciless Hunter onto the action, get a quick attack challenge on this upcoming turn. Things really fall apart here if our action would have died in that combat. But he didn't. It worked out for him. Good job, bro. Oh my god, this cat. There. Alright. I got the cat. The battles are ready to happen now. Are you serious? He's got fucking hooked in the headset again. Oh my god. No distractions in this one. It's just the final battle, getting ourselves ready for getting ourselves that easy end into seasonals. No distractions with this dumbass. Oh my god. Alright. Back to it. Things are okay now. That was kind of okay, right? We would have ideally been able to take down our opponent's action, but it's not the end of the world that we didn't get that. Now we have an opportunity to just go ahead and flip him and putting the Wandering Shepherd on the board. I'm kind of okay with this concept of, like, if we go into the next turn and then just play an early Pantheon and put the Bloodletters onto him, I think we can kind of safely come in and just upgrade our action, and then potentially even get some shutdowns for blocks this turn. Probably have to go with the Pan of Pain, but the Shepherd's Authority is pretty interesting. It's just I'm ultimately worried about not being able to block with our action. I was hoping to get something that would give him like the additional point of health so that he could get up to 3 health here, but this is fine. He could still come in and block the opposing action. It doesn't seem like they've had a combat trick up to this point. What you got for us? 2 actions in the Bloodletters. The action will convert into a grappling hook. I'm definitely on board with this here. Seems like he's like afraid to get into combat as it is, and so if we can come in and shoot down his action, I feel pretty decent about it. Oh, cool. Are we just gonna have the fist bump on the map the rest of the game? No distractions there either. Nothing wrong with this. Nothing crazy. Just the fist bump on the middle of the screen the rest of the time. Small indie company. I'm really surprised they don't have the resources to make sure things like this don't happen. Oh, jeez. Okay. But this looks pretty reasonable. Again, we can get to this spot to where we're gonna play Pantheon. He's not gonna be flipped this turn. That's okay. We have a backup one in hand for a flip on the following turn, and we have this full 7 mana that we can use to play Pantheon, Bloodletters, Lodestone, and that should be nice and strong on this board. The question being, like, where do we want to put these various equipments? And I think the answer to that is just, like, not Pantheon. I'm kind of expecting this Pantheon to die, and I don't want these equipments just getting stuck out here on him. And so, well, we do want to get the Faded, right? So let's rethink that for a moment. We want to get the Bloodletters onto Pantheon because we're ideally going to be dropping Darkened Lodestones. Okay, that makes sense. Then we don't want him to be getting a value block onto the Wandering Shepherd. Okay, I'm on board. Okay. It is kind of odd that he's just holding back so much mana at this point. I'm curious if we're just dead to a Lee Sin, but he's pretty far away from getting a Lee Sin flip. I don't think we have to worry about that at this point. Got a big chunk coming in from Pantheon. That's nice. We're losing the 2 units that we expected. That's okay. At the end of the day, if he's taking 6 and his board is only Eye of the Dragon, that looks pretty good to me. I guess he's going to be, say, trying to drop Lee Sin right now? Yeah. Okay. Ooh, Rite of Negation's big. What's happening here? A Sonic Wave onto Lee Sin. This all seems fine. The only downside to what's going on right here is we can't pop the Warlord's Horde immediately. Like, if he's going to do all this stuff and then open in. I kind of want to get the spell shields and stuff down, but off of the Warlord's Horde, but I think this is okay. He's just killing our Pantheon, and we have another one in the back line. Pretty cool, huh? There he is. Pretty cool. Wish we could see what was happening here. He puts the Overwhelm onto Lee Sin. That's okay. Do we actually want to put the... Well, if we're going to make this play into Rite of Negation next turn, we can't be dropping the Lodestones. It's like I really just want to pick up the Overwhelm unit off of this, though. Can we pull this off? What if we have 4 mana next turn? We would either need 4 or 5 mana after that. We can't do all of it.
Embrace the quiet of your life. It will not last.
All right. Here come the big flips. I'm looking to just give them the +2/+2 and Spell Shield. Give the old board one of these. Looks like Pantheon picked up quick attack and stuff. He's gonna have to block with his Lee Sin. Otherwise, Pantheon will just get the lethal.
Ready yourself.
This would be pretty cool if the fist bump wasn't just out here on the middle of the screen the whole time. I don't know how you all feel about this, but that's the way I'm feeling it. Not old yet whatsoever. Alright, so just getting 2 damage in should be a full board clear. Opponent's going to have to do quite a bit of work to recover out of this one. I think we're okay at the moment. Well, having the backup Lee Sin's a good start.
Must be nice living off stolen coin.
But, I mean, he's just needs one set of spells to get the flip. Ooh, man, maybe this will be problematic. He just needs to get him up to 10 power. Goes for the supercharge. Did something. Looked like a +2 attack or so. Who knows? Who knows what just happened? Just got this fist bump on the middle of the screen the whole game. Does this ever happen when they're like casting seasonals and they have an observer in the game and he's just like, oh, well, you know, it's just a card back in the middle of the screen the whole game. Sorry. Sorry, Gas. All right, he's done something here. What is that? The Absolver? Oh, that's gonna lethal us. F. I don't know if we could have gotten through that. Oh no, it's not. We can Rite of Negation the Dragon Kick. Who are we kidding out here, guys? Who are we kidding? The question is, our Vagabond's gonna die. Do we want to say like kill off Zolani to get this thing back? And I don't think. Oh my God, we got rid of it. I don't think that's the case. There we go. Just counter the Dragon Kick. I thought we were gonna lose here, but I used my brain power to realize we weren't dead. You should try that. Try that sometime. Use that on occasion. Use that brain. Hang on. Let's do it this way. I was immediately wanting to do like the little to big attack because he has to block the Dark Enthrall in this space, but our units are so good that I don't think it's quite worthwhile. Well, He's got another shot at the sweet lethal here with the Dark Enthrall down to 4. The barrier should be short. We have Overwhelm on Pantheon. Alright, he's got 1 card left out here. Is it good enough? Not today. Alright, good job, deck. I knew you could do it. Ooh, I wonder what opponent was going through that game. A, did he have a cat trying to climb on him? B, did he have a cat that was getting messed up in his headset? C, did he have the fist bump icon on the screen the whole game? And D, did he have to talk through every single play so his 9 followers can follow along? Curious. Curious how much of that the opponent had going on. Alright though, Sejuani Gwen coming into battle. Let's see what happens. Gotta get these early-ish plays happening out here. I'm not the hugest fan of picking up things like Gwen in this match. I would rather just have the early game overwhelm units. It's just, if she gets hit with a concussive palm, it tends to be pretty disastrous because you spent all 4 of your mana, got stopped, and then they still have a block somewhere else. But I think with a hand like this that she might be okay. So with this, I'm not going to... If they play something on turn 1, then, you know, great. We have the Unspeakable Horror to come in and try and take it down. But one of the things I do like with these Omen Hawks is getting 2 of them on board on the same turn, as that lets us come in and boost the same unit twice. This was one of these things that we kind of came up with in Expedition. But we don't find as many opportunities out here in Constructed to take advantage of it. See if we just boomed him. Nice. It's apparently get boomed o'clock if you're if you're paying attention to your clock out there. All right, nice usage of the mana here. Sweet little curve coming at you. This is what, like, with Gwen is ultimately a little frightening to me. If we play Gwen and then he just concussive palms her and now has the blocker for the Phantom Butler, it's not a great sequence for us. I'd rather be putting down 2 2-drops this turn, but, you know, if this is what we got, this is what we got. And then I'm fine to go ahead and just trade away the Omen Hawk at this point. Getting in these chunks of damage, I think, are a little bit more important. We're never blocking anything that the opponent does, right? If they're going to kill us, they're going to OTK us with Lee Sin. They're not going to kill us because they have some kind of wide board and we couldn't block a rando 5/5 with our Omen Hawk. This is the Lee Sin. I would assume that he's going to look to Sonic Wave this turn. Do we, like, really care if he comes in and Sonic Waves our Gwen? I don't think so. I'm just going to go ahead and drop the Reaver for the event that he doesn't have it, right? If this is a turn where he says, like, puts Upcycled Rake onto Lee Sin and tries to make a bunch of attacks, I would prefer to just have a good blocker for a piece of that. I want to save the 3 Sisters for his kind of OTK turns, if it comes down to it. If it seems like this Lee Sin's gonna flip and he's dropping Absolvers and shit, having the 3 Sisters is always nice. And then also being able to use them on a following turn is nice. And so this is just like, this is pretty disastrous for us if we say, oh cool, he's got the Sonic Wave. I better hold on to the 3 Sisters and not adding any units, and then he just passes, right? That's still a quite acceptable turn for opponent. Hey, we just draw another Gwen. This time, coming at you with extra stats.
Talk is worthless. We are what we do.
We'll see which one of us is stronger, Akshan.
Have we met?
Alright, so in terms of this attack, I'm going to look to put the Scar Maiden Reaver on the left. We do have a point of Hallowed. You tend to want it to just go on your Overwhelm units. And as it stands, our smaller ones, not going to be like killing Lee Sin or anything, right? If we make a 5-power Onlooker, he's just going to block it with the Vagabond. And so his like Homecoming or his concussive palm target should be Gwen. But I could like see him switching to the Reaver, but then he has to just deal with Gwen now, which is a little tougher for him to do.
I will not hold back.
It's like that concussive palms coming in. It's still not a bad attack, clearing out Akshan, clearing out the Vagabond, picking up a point of Hallowed.
Hug it out. Oh, come now.
Looks like his decision is happening.
Act free of doubt.
This would be just a barrier onto Lee Sin's what's happening there.
Their heartbeats quicken.
Ever hear about the bad man who tried to catch the doll? He missed.
I don't get that joke. Did you ever hear about the bad man that tried to catch the dog? He missed.
Cannot hide.
I don't get it. Sorry, Gwen. I don't understand your jokes. Interesting. Well, I guess he had to play the Sonic Wave to get the barrier points, but he wasn't going to be killing anything else. Okay. And I wasn't watching the Sonic Waves to see if that was the Lee Sin variety or not, but it is nice that he's down 2 at this point. Get to see in here 2 Sonic Waves. All right, and then not a bad addition of Sejuani at this point. Getting to put the Sejuani onto Lee Sin for the round really puts a damper on any of the OTK shenanigans that they could be attempting. Nice muscles, bro. You can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. This way it says. I guess, I don't know. I don't know Lee Sin's situation. I shouldn't make humorous jokes on his vision's behalf without knowing the full story of the blind monk. So, that's what the picture looks like, though. Looks like Vince Vaughn and Dodgeball getting ready to do battle against Ben Stiller. All right, so, anywho, how do we feel about this upcoming turn? Oh, shit. We just dead? I was not expecting on him to grow this much. Maybe we should have. Should we have held out on the old, Oh, this is gross. We're gonna have to try for the Harrowing, aren't we? I was not expecting the Scout attack to get us so hard. It's out here trying to talk about dodgeball, dude's fucking up our team. Alright, so how do we feel about this upcoming turn? The thing that ultimately worries me here is if we play the Harrowing and he has the deny, how bad of a spot are we in? And like, I guess it could be okay, given that we can go into the next turn and then still try and make 3 Sisters plays. We could even potentially try and entomb Lee Sin instead of going for a Flash Freeze, which would maybe be okay. I think these decks tend to play 2 deny and 0 Rite of Negation, and so, you know, he's only 25% of the way through his deck. He's not super likely to have the deny at this point. But the question would be, can like we contend with this Lee Sin? Oh shit, he's got a spell shield on him. I guess that was good to notice. All right. Uh-oh. He drops the deny and the GG emote. Hope we can get out of this one. Oh man. Nothing feels better than getting out of this when they GG a little too early. So let's see if we can't pick up a target for him real quick. Come on, deck. You failed us. You failed us, deck. All right. But yeah, we wouldn't have been able to survive that one with damage, and so I'm happy to go with the. I'm actually, upon seeing him, not realizing he got the spell shield and everything, I'm a little bit happier that he that with that path that we took. But all right, up against the old Heimerdinger Jace. This is another spot much like the Swain matchup, to where we have these opportunities with the Harrowing and they just can't do anything about it. And so, to me, this matchup tends to come down to if they can get these like really early and aggressive hits, to where they drop like the turret stuff, and then they get like the 6th cost spell on turn 3, then immediately start boosting the turrets. Like if they're able to pull that off, then they tend to win. But this isn't a matchup to where their removal spells tend to be super important. And we play nicely into their game of them just trying to go wide and being like, oh man, it's a turret, when we are out here and able to put all these overwhelm units on the board. But let's see if we can't level up this Sejuani, right? Start on the first turn. See if he feels the urge to quiet us in Omen Hawk. Not yet. All right, Sejuani's leveling. What up, Reg? I made a meme with Reggie. I felt really good about it. They just took the 7 mana heal spell and made it cost 4, and then they let Reggie now summon Decimate. I feel like Reggie is the aggro player that everyone loves, everyone enjoys, everyone wants to have as be a part of their life. All right, not a bad round. These stance swaps can be quite useful in this match. Again, they're playing a bunch of turrets. The turrets all have 1 health, and so it's always important. I feel like everybody forgets the Ram stance that lets you AoE everything for 1. Can be quite important in this match in terms of opponent putting a bunch of turrets down, and then us coming in and blowing up the turrets with the big AoE. But here, I'm going to be looking to double Yeti. It doesn't seem like he has any of the big turret draws. I don't care if he plays Jace. And then if we're able to Yeti into Yeti, and then still have the 2 mana up for stance swap next turn, gives us a lot of opportunity. All right, Yeti into Yeti. And production surge. I don't think I want to give up our Ruthless Raider here. It's like as we're holding on to the stance swap to potentially take down all of the units, it just doesn't feel that strong. Right now in this turn, we could look to potentially use it. I mean, it doesn't seem great. I'm kind of leaning towards just putting the stance swap onto one of our other units. Like if we give our Ruthless Raider +2/+2 and then look to enter Beast the Ancient Yeti next turn. Excuse me. I think that just feels a lot more powerful. But we are coming up to having the ability to use 3 Sisters for damage. It's like I don't want to get over invested in the board because they do play Vengeance, but we're like really close to lethal here. And what is this? 10, 13. He can block for 5. So that's 8 damage coming in. Am I right? 4, 7, 8. And then a +3 with the 3 Sisters does get a lethal. I think I'm going to spread it out. It seems like he's so far away from doing really good turret shenanigans that we can force some bad combats here. Ruthless Raider.
Fight or die.
So we still have options with this, right? If we still have this 5 mana built up, we can drop a Inner Beast and a Phantom Butler. We can drop a 3 Sisters. Is he going to play the Ruination? No? Okay. the Ruination would have been a scary one for us. Alright, so he's going to need some more stuff now. We got 18 coming from our remaining units. He's only got 5 power on board. He's going to need another removal or something. Hexbliterator. Sure. Is that something Reggie generated, or is he actually playing it? That dang Reggie. He's always up to shenanigans. Sejuani's almost flipped. Not quite yet, just almost. It feels like we're in a good spot. Again, if it like really comes down to it, if he plays a production surge this turn for 9 mana, we can Inner Beast into the stance swap and then look to get a big turn going with that AoE. This is like the real deal question here, and what do we do with Heimerdinger? It's like I don't really want to Vengeance him. He can't generate too much. It's like if he stance swaps, or I'm sorry, if he plays a production surge this turn, that would be kind of scary, but all of our board has Overwhelm. Alright, I think this is the time just to go for the lethal. It's like even if he picks up a full board, we have the opportunity just to clear out that board and then Vengeance next turn, which I think might be okay. What's our Hallowed at? 0? Sad. Feels like we should be at like Hallowed 5 by this time. Okay. Opponent draws some cards. Feels like you should be out of stuff to do, right? Then the only thing to note of with this attack is our Sejuani is about to flip. We're going to want her to be on the right as most as possible. And then we want these other Overwhelms to finish off the rest of it. And so I'm kind of leaning towards an attack like... Well, he can't block this thing. We just want the Ruthless Raider. He's probably not going to be suffering damage anyways, but the idea here is we would want our high health units to the left, our low health units to the right. But I feel like the Phantom Butler is going to be the target of a removal spell, since it's easier, or it's a little bit tougher to stop the damage from him since he can't block it. What is this? Vengeance into Sejuani. So we need a +1 at the moment. I think we want to load up this Phantom Butler. We would prefer Heimerdinger to be dying in combat now. And again, this does 1 damage to everything. So if it comes up, we can Ram Stance to try and kill him for 1. I think we just got it though. I think we're about to market a W for bust. Uh-oh. Opponent's dropping emotes. And there you have it. Did you mark it? Did you check it off? Say, GG, bust, you're the best. You're the best in the world, my dude. Alright, so GG's. Not a bad set of games, and so... I was a little bit worried about some of that. That had some potential in there to cause us some problems, but I think we got a good showcase of what the list and the lineup can do. I feel like what happened there is what we kind of have to expect to happen every time if we're going to bring Gwen Sejuani. and that nobody's going to ban it. Nobody's going to ban Gwen Sejuani ever. I'm not entirely sure why. It seems like one of those deals to where if you play red Gwen, people are familiar with it, and they say, oh yeah, I'm ready to ban that. But red Gwen doesn't have the Harrowing, and I guess you could put it in there, but they typically don't play the Harrowing, or to a large degree they don't. And when they do, it doesn't get those same advantages that this deck does with all the Overwhelm units. And so that's the typical big thing is, the red version of Gwen has the Last Dancers and the Minotaur free attack thing, but that all requires like stuff to be on the board and happening, to whereas the blue version here just puts all those overwhelms on the board and says, LOL, here's 40 damage. Can you block it or not? But the thing that does kind of interest me and pique my attention a little bit when we see lineups like this is the Harrowing, and that it's such a good answer to all of the Swain decks. And then if we're going to see rando stuff like Heimerdinger Jace pop up, do we feel much better about, say, playing the Harrowing and then playing a lineup that looks to ban Ionia? I don't worry nearly as much about double Ionia lineup showing up now that Swain Twisted Fate is kind of a thing. It's like, yes, you can play, say, Swain Twisted Fate, you can play Akshan Lee Sin, and then you can play Nami something else. But it feels like if you're playing Twisted Fate in a Swain deck, then you're probably not playing both Ionia decks in Lee Sin and Nami. And so, yes, there are things like Victor Lee Sin and other ways to kind of push around it, but it doesn't sound like a complete commonality. But at the end of the day, the thing that worries me about playing a kind of all-in on the Harrowing lineup is that access to deny. But, we got a few days. We got some time for thought, time to mellow it over and think on it real good. We did good enough for today, and that's all you can ask for, man. One game at a time. One, as the famous Bill Belichick says, he's not playing an 18-game season of football. He's playing 18 one-game seasons, right? Just do what you can for that one game at hand. Can't worry about the game last week. It already happened. Can't worry about the game next week. Hasn't come up yet. Got to worry about this game right now. So 18 one-game seasons, But nonetheless, we got our victory. Feels good. Hope it felt good for you, because that is going to do it for us today. And so hope everybody enjoyed the video. Hope you learned how to use Gwen Sejuani to maximum power. Hope you maybe learned a thing or two along the way and had a good time watching. This is Bustin' Me. Thank you for being here.